Okay, we'll start.
Folks, good afternoon. Thanks for strolling in and making time for this exciting session today of Stump the Experts. My name is Edmer Abante from the Microsoft side. We've got our friend Prachi, also from Microsoft, and the man of the hour, Richard from ThinkMax. It's going to be driving today's presentation. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to roll in here, get comfortable, grab a drink, put your feet up. We're going to record this session, so we'll make this available to everybody, so don't worry. But again, thank you for making the time for this. We're excited to highlight some of the latest and greatest around Copilot for Sales. In the meantime, in the chat, I'd love to hear from folks like what's something that really excites them or what's something they've experienced with Copilot that they like or that they want to learn more about. For me, I'll type mine in. Mine is honestly the meeting recaps. Just asking real quick, like, what do I have to do and who do I have to delegate to?
I love the summarization.
Yep.
Like very large, complex emails that we get through, summarizing those up in a few seconds and then just be able to skim through that saves me a ton of time.
That and like a plus one to that is, I think Prachi showed it on the first one, but to be able to copy all those summaries and then drop it directly into Teams,
yeah,
it just helps. Prachi, you're typing. You can come off mute.
Yeah, I know. I've been typing. I was like, let me type in the chat. But personally, for me, it's also the meeting recaps, but I really like the Outlook email generation, just having help when you're dealing with writer's block, being able to write email drafts from scratch. So you don't have to spend a lot of that manual effort.
Yes. Get me 80% of the way there.
How many people on the call are actually using Copilot today, I wonder? Put in the chat if you're using it. Or if you're just, thinking about it.
I'm sure everyone's thinking about it. They better
say I don't think I'm using it in customer engagement.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you some things today that's going to tip the scales, and Ian is going to make you want to use it in customer engagement sales.
Sounds good. I've been experimenting here and there in Power Automate in some other areas, but I have not dipped my toe in CE yet.
Now's the time.
We're going to encourage you. Richard will get you excited about it. I'm going to wait till the 4-minute mark, which we're almost there, and then we'll get started. But again, thank you guys so much for making time for this session this afternoon. Sales and customer service in the CI and journeys. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for sharing that, John. It's like the longest minute ever. It's weird. It's like at the dentist. Sorry, I had to do that the other week, and it's like, all right, we're here. Cool. Good afternoon, folks. My name's Edmer Abante. I am your host for today's session of Stump the Experts. We've got an amazing agenda here today to dive into Copilot specifically for customer engagement. And leading today's session is Richard from ThinkMax, and we've got Prachi as well from Microsoft and our business counterparts. We got Robert and Steph, and maybe Chris will show up. I don't know if he's here. I'll take a look at that later, but Chris is somebody helping drive engagement as well. But one, we're thankful to partner with someone like ThinkMax, who's got a lot of great experience in the Microsoft ecosystem and the SMC space specifically. And as all things Copilot continue to roll out, we're excited to dive into some content, show you some latest and greatest, and just have a healthy conversation about what are you worried about? What are you excited about? What do you think would help you? So please, we want this to be engaging and interactive. So pause us at any time. We'll be monitoring the chat. Raise your hand, whatever the case may be. Let's have a conversation. So with that, let's talk about the agenda. So we got about 60 minutes. I just went through intros real quick. A couple of value propositions and stats outside of everything you guys are hearing in the news. I'll share those in a moment. But really the focus today is to turn it over to Richard to dive into the actual tool itself and give you a visualization and a click path to help you understand how it can benefit your workday. And then again, questions all throughout, but the back half of this session is meant to quote unquote stump the expert. So Richard's a sharp dude. I'm curious to see if anybody gets him today. So a lot of great statistics around Copilot and generative AI in specifics, but Gartner had a report back in September, and they said by 2028, 60% of B2B seller work will be done and executed by generative AI technologies. By 2025, 30% of outbound messages from large organizations will be synthetically generated. That one's not a stretch by any means. And the third point, conversational experiences will be used to execute up to 14% of sales planning and 15% of customer meeting prep and 14% of deal negotiations. So a lot of these stats, actually, if you were here earlier, as we were warming up for the call, Prachi and Richard and I were talking about some of the benefits that we've seen. And I think Prachi brought up a great point around even the Outlook piece. Like, if you could just draft an idea for me and get me 70 to 80% of the way there, I can use my own intuition to figure out the rest and send this off, which ties to a lot of these stats. Now, let's quit with the stats. Let's get to the good stuff. I'm going to turn it over to Richard.
Hey, I don't want to quit with the stats right yet, right? Because the average seller spends about 34% of their time, a third of their time on admin activities, right? And that's time that's being taken away from the ability to sell, to build relationships. So only 32% of their time is actually spent selling. I'm not sure if you agree with that statistic or not. Please put it in the chat if you do. But what we're finding with Copilot is within 60 to 90 days of implementing Sales Copilot for our customers, a luxury retail customer one specifically, a recent one that we did, they saw 25% increase in productivity due to email summarization, the ability to rapidly draft responses, as perhaps you mentioned, right? And easily track communications in CRM. 40% decrease in time in switching tasks and applications, right? So not having to rekey things into different applications. With the click of one button, they could just track an email from Outlook into the CRM system. And an overall 60% decrease in sales response time, right, due to customers' inquiries. So yeah, a little bit of a fun fact, but if you're in the sales, you realize that if you don't respond to a customer's inquiry quickly, and some people say the statistic is 5 minutes, right? You can actually, really dramatically reduce your ability to actually win or pursue that deal. So I think the statistic out there right now is something like if you respond within 5 minutes, you have an 8% chance increase in actually having a successful deal out of that. And the key thing with Copilot is it's going to be able to reduce your admin overhead, your time. You're going to be able to reduce, the time of plowing through thousands of emails a day, getting your email summaries, drafting a response, just sweeping over that from a sales perspective, putting your craft on it, and then obviously sending it out, right? So what I wanted to show was just a couple of quick slides and a couple of quick sort of segments on a scenario that this has been really meaningful to a lot of our customers. Once again, taking out the admin out of their jobs and actually letting them focus on sales and building relationships. So from this perspective, what we have is we have Outlook here, and then we have an email that's come in, very long, complex email, with a simple question at the start, but lines and lines and lines of email. I'm going to open up Copilot. And then Copilot's going to summarize that email. Once again, hundreds of lines of emails. I get many of these a day. I'm sure you all do too, right? And within a few seconds, you can see that the email's been summarized, right? So Copilot has done all that hard work for me. Then all I need to do is I can actually respond to the customer reasonably simple. So I can either do a pre-baked response or make a proposal, whatever the case may be. I'm actually going to just use a specific response here. And I'm going to say, look, respond to Richard's question. And what Copilot is going to do is going to look at the context of the question that I was asked there, skim through the email and all the other assets that it has access to, and then respond to it. So you can see that in this email, Richard's actually asking, how many days after my Microsoft account has been suspended will it actually be closed? And we can see here that Copilot's successfully gone through, trawled through everything. It understands that that limit is 30 days and can actually put that straight into the email. Well, I'm actually also going to ask Copilot to add some times in there. So Copilot's going to look at my calendar, look at my availability, and I'm going to say, hey, look, I also want to include some availability. So if this customer has any additional questions, they can actually reach out to me and we can have a call conversation around that time. Now, this has taken that specifically from my Outlook calendar. It's not just miraculously making up a time. It's looked at my calendar, found some availability, and now you can see this added that to the email. So all I need to do is add that to the email, hit send, and then it's off its way to the customer. Now, legacy CRM solutions, I may have had to, we can see here, that is an available slot that I had in my calendar. Legacy CRM solutions, I would have to then go forth into CRM and then recreate that activity or key in the activity there. With Copilot, I can literally just say, okay, it's going to, I want this email to be in CRM, I want it to be against this account. And then within seconds, it's actually going to take that email with all of that context and attach it to that account. Now, when it's attached to that account, I can actually bring that account up directly, and I can see a summary of all that information. Now, this is all, once again, still within Outlook, right? And then I can pop open that window directly to CRM, and then I can see the rest of those account details if I need to. So if we think about this one scenario here, right? So I've received a very complex email. I had to respond to it, review it, track it in CRM. That typical activity would take, what, 10, 20, maybe even 30 minutes for a sales rep to do, especially if they're doing it on a regular basis. I was able to do that in seconds. And I also have access to Copilot within the web client as well. So I'm not sure what your thoughts are about that, but really, when we look at the fact that majority of sellers are almost spending a third of their time on admin tasks, if anything, Copilot is going to help dramatically reduce that, so you can spend that time doing valuable sales. And that might add 10, 20, 30 hours a month to the sales reps' availability, so they can actually build those relationships with their customers. Okay, take a quick pause. Any questions, any thoughts about that? Any comments?
Is this set to take place of the current Outlook connector with additional AI features? Is that the premise for sales? Okay.
If you're using Viva Sales or anything like that, or the Outlook connector, this will eventually deprecate all of those and be that one solution for you. Correct.
Are there any? It looked like it had a lot of the features that are there already. Is there anything that's not available? Like, can you quick create leads and opportunities and things like that as well?
The only limit in Copilot today is the ability to create leads. That's there.
Okay.
But Microsoft has just announced that within the next 2 to 4 weeks, hopefully the next release, that is going to be there as well. So we're going to see a full parity of capabilities at some stage in the very near future. Great question.
I will keep my ear to the ground for that. That's awesome.
All right, awesome. All right, so another recent client in the construction industry had a significant sales team turnover, and they lost about 40 to 50% of their sales team each year. The number one key reason, right, was lack of effective sales tools. Now, they came to us and said, look, we just need to re-envision how we sell and our complete sales portfolio, right? They basically said the competition had better sales tools. They weren't using Dynamics or any Microsoft products. The competition had better sales tools. They were dominating the market. By the time we got a proposal and turned it around, the customer had gone elsewhere, and we just couldn't have access to historical data, right? So with Dynamics 365 CE Sales and Copilot and a redesigned process, we're able to reduce the sales rep team onboarding within that organization by 30%, increase the time they had to build relationships with their customers about 20%, right? And reduce fatigue, frustration, and the unusually high turnover. So I'm really happy to say with that customer, because of Dynamics 365 CE Sales and Copilot, we've been able to completely change how their sales team work, transform how they sell, right? Increase their sales, increase their profitability, and obviously the sales commissions for the sales team, making them happy. And I'm happy to say that during the past 3 months of them being live, they've not had one person quit or threaten to leave the organization. They are absolutely up to speed with all the latest and greatest sales tools, and they feel that now they've accelerated and they're actually the leaders in the marketplace for sales. Now, what I want to just summarize here is if you're a salesperson, you're coming back from holiday or you're coming back from Christmas and you want to actually access Copilot via the web within the CRM system, you can do so. Now, in this example here, what I'm doing is I've just got back. I want to ask Copilot to give me a quick summary of an account. So Copilot's going to go into that account, look at everything that's happened to that account, not just sales activities, but also, as you can see here, customer service related activities, right? And it's going to give that to me. I can also say, hey, look, show me as a salesperson, show me all the opportunities I've got closing this month. Now it's going to go forth and see all the opportunities closing this month. I don't actually have any at this stage, but I'm going to do the same tag now and say, actually, show me all opportunities that are actually closing next month. And what it's going to do is going to do the same thing. It's going to actually go through the CRM database, find me all opportunities that are going to be closing next month, and it's going to list them for me. Now, not only is it giving me this nice pretty picture of all these opportunities, but it's giving me a link, so I can just link directly to those opportunities in the system and see everything there in my regular Dynamics dashboard. So once again, Copilot isn't just responding to me and answering my questions here. It's actually navigating me to certain areas as well to make my life a lot easier. Right? So now I can do the same thing. Show me any new leads that I've got, or show me my hot leads. And once again, from the opportunity screen, it's actually going to take me to my open leads and show me all the specifics around my leads. Now, this may have taken 5, 10, 15 minutes in the past, but now I can do it within Copilot very simply. And actually, not only can I leverage Copilot to give me the information I need, give me a summary of my accounts, give me a summary of other people's accounts, but I can actually ask it to navigate me to certain areas in the system to make my life a lot easier. So when we also think about CRM data, now some of the top stats out there, and business owners have actually said that siloed data is their #1 issue that significantly impacts adoption and the value of their CRM system. Right? Now, Copilots enable you to harness your CRM data and dramatically increase the value by pulling data in from other sources. So it doesn't just have to be Dynamics related data. It could be social media platform orientated data, websites, network drives, Outlook, sharing, CPQ engines, ERP platforms, etc. It can pull in a tremendous amount of information. So not only is this going to unlock your CRM data, but it transforms how your users leverage and move the data around. So it's changing people's perspective of the CRM system as not just being a Rolodex system with all the context, like we used to think of CRM systems back in the 80s and 90s, but now it's a system that's transformational, that can help me with my job, that can help prompt me to do my next activities, and it's going to get data from various different sources and bring it to me and make it more meaningful. So, the different sources we can pull, we're thinking about Copilot Studio, there's Power Connectors now, API connectors, and obviously Microsoft Graph as well, all those other elements that can broadly get various different data signals from different parts of your organization, different data sets, bring it together and respond to your queries. So with this example, I'm in an account and I want to understand, okay, what's happened in this account and go to the web and actually find me news of this account and what's actually happened. So once again, just to reiterate that it's not just looking at data within the 4 walls of your database, it's actually able to go out to the internet, to being used in this specific case, and find the related news for that account so you can quickly scroll through it. Now, you can do this for leads, accounts, and what I've started to do is before I call a customer, I'll actually go forth into CRM. I'll quickly search and say, look, show me a quick update in regards to Bing News in regards to this account. And it's going to give me the highlights of this account. If they've had a really good month or a really bad month, or there's been significant executive changes within that organization, it's going to flag that here. And I have all that data primed before I actually reach out to the customer. Once again, it can do it with accounts, leads, etc. So, really valuable. And then once again, tying in additional data sources is really, really going to help your sales team moving forwards. Any questions? Sorry, I heard some noise. I wasn't sure if anyone had any questions.
I think you're good.
All right. Okay. So, unfortunately, 73% of managers only get to spend around 5% of their time coaching their sales teams. Now, this is really, really unfortunate because sales teams that get better coaching perform much better, and they actually have an increase of 28% or higher win rates, right? So what we're starting to find that not only salespeople using Copilot is going to benefit them, from management and leadership team members as well is tremendously adding value there too. So what we're finding is that, with Sales Copilot enabling managers to free up their time, they can actually nurture their sales teams. And by leveraging Microsoft Copilot AI voice transcription services, sentiment services, and analysis services, managers can gain greater visibility into their sales teams and provide better coaching. Now, imagine being able to invest a few more hours each month with your sales team and being able to increase their win rates by 28% by giving them better coaching. So voice transcription, sentiment analysis, recommended call actions are all key features that we're actually able to get that are leveraging AI platforms right now within the Microsoft ecosystem. And this example here, what we've essentially got is we've got a sales manager that is essentially looking within a lead from a recent sales call with a sales rep, and they're able to go in here and see the transcription and the voice conversation and the transcription of that specific salesperson. They're also able to see the sentiment, the good things that have happened, the negative sentiment that's happened, and they're able to use that as coaching opportunities. They can actually look through the transcription as well for that individual, see, did the salesperson, mention all the key things, all the new products, all the features they were supposed to mention? When the customer was negative, how did that salesperson respond to it? And not only can a sales manager use this, but a sales individual can use this as well as a coaching opportunity. Now, once they've used the transcription, you can actually go in and see the notes in regards to the transcription. So a sales manager could say, okay, next time, please, talk about this or lead with this product or adjust your approach for this, and this situation. Right? So you can actually go through that, and you've got the action items tab. So as it goes through the transcription, if you said to the customer that you're going to do something, send something, respond to something, it's actually going to put that in the action items. And then in the mentions area, you're going to get all the key summary there of what's been said between the conversation, right? So sales managers could look at this. They can very quickly see and highlight the negative sentiment, and use that as coaching opportunities, right? They can automatically have the notes compiled in one area. So salesperson, after a call, you don't need to spend minutes and minutes compiling your notes and putting it all in one area. It's all here for you. And then if you forget on the call or the end of a call to create some action items, it's all here in the action items area. It said you were going to send a proposal. It's going to recommend that okay, at the end of the month, send a proposal. This is the date. Do you want to create an activity in CRM to help you do that? So once again, taking people away from just using a CRM on a day-to-day basis as a Rolodex, it's actually helping you with your work, helping coaches and managers make your team work more effectively. Any questions?
Nope.
Alrighty. Okay. So from a ThinkMax perspective, what we feel or what we do with all of our new customers now is we're talking to them about custom copilots. You may have heard of Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is a very powerful tool that we use to actually help our customers maximize the benefit of the solution today, right? And we can drop custom copilots from a sales solution perspective, customer service, or even marketing solution perspective. And what we do is every single customer, we talk to them about custom copilots and how we can leverage those to actually make their work a lot better. So with a recent customer, what we did was we implemented our training copilot, which actually helped all of their team learn about the solution because they had very specific sales processes within their organization, and that really helped them ramp up. And it reduced about 20% ramp up time of salespeople because we created that custom copilot from a training side of things. So you've got the sales regular training copilot, but you can also create as many custom copilots as you need to, and you can embed those into CE. Now, one of our other customers, they're in a financial services organization. Each time they onboarded a salesperson, the unfortunate salesperson had to go through a 450-page onboarding document. It took about 2 weeks to learn that document. It was very complex, very comprehensive, and it caused a lot of roadblocks in their onboarding. So what we did was we actually were able to completely alleviate that 2 weeks of onboarding by embedding that onboarding document within Copilot. So now the sales team can use the CRM tool from a sales perspective and get a tremendous amount of more value out of it because they can actually ask it, okay, from a sales policy perspective, can I do this and can I do this? Or, what expenditures can I have, and what expenditure rates do I have for a gold class customer, and what policy do I need to follow for this, and this? So custom copilots are a very, very big value, and here's a bit of an example here. So what I can do is within this sales rep is going into the ABC account. Right? They're actually going in and they're looking at the custom copilot we created, which is a sales policy copilot. Now in here, they're going to say, okay, so it's a ABC Inc. It's a gold customer. How much expenditure do I have for gold customers on a yearly basis? And it's going to respond say, okay, 5,000 is your sales expense limit. Okay, that's wonderful. That's great. Good to know. But what type of expenses can I expend for this specific customer? And then it's going to come back and say, okay, well, here's the limits of what you can expense or what you can't expense, and give you all of that information. Versus the salesperson actually going in blindly submitting expenses, not knowing what they can do, right? And then getting into trouble, cutting all of that out. Now, from a training Copilot perspective, we're in a lead situation now. So I want to know how to create a new lead. So we have a sales training Copilot that we create for our customers. In this case, it's, how do I create a specific lead? Now, naturally, yes, there's out-the-box ways of creating leads, but with some of our customers, they have very, very specific ways of doing business, and they customize the system heavily. And this specific case, once a lead is created, it's actually going to go to Bob in marketing, who's actually going to look at the lead and then validate it and approve it. Right. So, okay, how will I know once Bob has actually, has approved the lead? And it's going to come back and say, okay, your policy or your procedure around lead management is this. Bob's going to email you. Right. So you're not only able to use it from a training opportunity, but you're also able to use it from a sales policy and 100 different other options as well that we offer to our customers today. Is anyone using Copilot Studio or custom Copilots today? Okay. Well, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. We implement it for all of our customers now, and they love it. And the data sources that we can tie our custom Copilots into, not only just documents, but we can tie it into websites, SharePoint repositories, etc. Various different sources out there. And not only is the Copilot available there and then within CE, we embed it in CE sales where the sales team live, but you can also access that Copilot via Teams as well. So all of that information, even if the sales team aren't in Dynamics 365 CE sales, they can access it via Teams.
Richard, I'm going to pause you for a second. One, I love how you pulled in the chat. You built a Copilot within Dynamics just to make it easy for people to figure out where's the money, how can I wine and dine these people, and what are they entitled to. I love that you've made that available here. John, you mentioned that you're using Copilot Studio. Are you willing to share how you're using it today?
Yeah, we use Copilot again across multiple modules here, like the sales and customer service both use it, and they're both different Copilots, which gets a little bit confusing a little bit. But I mean, the sales teams, I would say 70% of them use it for emails, responding back to emails, all the time. I mean, that has been a significant increase in time, very well spent out. And the other parts, yeah, I mean, I would say that they're using it to kind of get some updates on some opportunities if something has been reassigned to them. We are using it, in the sales area. I think how you just kind of showed it before, using the Copilot Studio bots to kind of help out with the same kind of questions, kind of like help them with, product specs or anything else, kind of help them understand some of those pieces. The customer service piece, I would say, uses it primarily, to respond to emails. Maybe like just the opposite, maybe 20% of the time. The other 8% of the time is literally, looking at product specs, understanding, looking at knowledge base articles. So instead of using the chatbot, it uses the Copilot to get the information.
Yeah.
So those are probably the biggest differences.
John, thanks for sharing that. I'm going to recap that real quick because it's beautiful. You validated a lot of what's been shown here. One, on the email side, it goes back to everything we said at the beginning, right? Like get me 80% of the way there, right? So that reduces a significant amount of time. And back to Richard's stat earlier, like sellers only really spend 35% of their time selling. And then hearing you folks use it from the sales perspective, right? It goes back to a couple of the slides that Richard was showing in that just help me prioritize, like where's the money, where's the low-hanging fruit, how should I be thinking about this, and help me prioritize without navigating a bunch of screens. I heard you say that. And then last but not least, the knowledge article stuff, just customer service side. The whole goal is empathy and trust, and the fact that you guys can pull that up within an NLP box right there in that same window seems to be a game changer for everybody. So John, thank you so much for sharing that. Thanks for being a first adopter. We really appreciate that.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Of course.
And you will start to see more and more copilots, right? So, under the Copilot umbrella. And the reason why they're slightly different copilots is they have key functions. The customer service Copilot is really catered around customer service agents that need access to cases, that need access to knowledge base articles, right? Marketing Copilot, which is going to be appearing at some stage, is really centered around content creation, right? And with imagery for campaigns. And then sales is really, all about, responding to customers quickly, summarizing emails, doing key things that sales team needs. Lead creation, like I said, is coming down the pipeline, as well as, be able to see, their key customer information with the click of a button and not have to go to 30 different applications and waste time transitioning from application to application, having everything at their fingertips. And once again, John, like you said, if sales teams or customer service teams can just save 5 minutes per email or per case or per transaction that they're doing, that's going to add up. And that's going to give them time to do other things that are more important and focus on, real life scenarios where they're actually, going to be adding value to customers, selling, building relationships, or addressing more complicated cases, right? And we're going to get to a stage where we're going to be able to see that customer service oriented copilots is maybe going to get to a stage where it's going to be able to do maybe 50 to 75% of the work for us. It's going to get the case, right? It's going to give you a summary of what's happening in that case. It's going to be looking at the knowledge base articles you have in your organization, providing some recommendations. All you need to do is, hit the send button, and then you can focus on more complex cases within the organization to help your customers out. So, we're all trying to figure out how to do, more with less. Well, Copilot's actually giving us the ability to do more with more. Any other questions? All right, so a couple of quick slides just to start to trend things down. I can go into the live system after, but obviously a lot of questions from customers in regards to how we get started. It was great to see we got some early adopters on here, right? So from how to get started, you can click on the zoom into the link here with your camera. We can also send out the direct link. There's various different articles that I've written or we have from a ThinkMax perspective, and then you can obviously contact us, and we'd love to give you more information, custom demos, whatever the case may be, talk to you about the capabilities of where it's a good fit in your organization, right? There's also a 30-day trial. You can go to trials.microsoft.com and set up a 30-day trial, either a sales or customer service orientated Copilot trial at this stage. It takes a couple of minutes to set it up, but when it's up and running, you can almost immediately see the benefits. And if you want to create your own Copilots, then don't forget, you can go to Copilot Studio and create your own Copilots there. Point it to whatever sources you need. Once again, either SharePoint, upload a document or a website, and start to get information come through there, so you can actually play with a Copilot very quickly. And those of you that want to maybe do a little bit more reading around Copilot or take some classes on Copilot, the best place to go is actually the Microsoft Learn site. So if you go onto learn.microsoft.com, select Copilot, there's a tremendous amount of information there that's going to help you ramp up and get aligned and understand the broader aspect of Copilot.
Do you have the link to the section of the Learn site with the roadmap and the feature updates that are upcoming?
I will be able to try and share that in the chat with you, or I can send it directly. But yes, there is definitely a section within the Microsoft site where you can actually not only see the roadmap, but you can select the specific products that you're interested in, and it's going to talk to you about the release dates and the features that are coming down the line for those specific products.
I think Prachi was able to drop a link in the chat. So there's that.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Prachi. You're the best.
No problem at all. And I'll continue dropping more links in there, but I think this is really helpful, Richard, just the fact that there's learn links and the fact that you can be an early adopter in your flow of work with Outlook, Teams. And as Richard showed you, even the really custom Copilot Studio, it's all very amazing. So great job. And I'm really excited to see how you all continue to use it as well.
Okay. Awesome. So now's the time. Stump the experts. We're challenging you to stump us. What questions do you have? And while you fire those up, let me just try and switch to my live system.
I'm gonna interject real quick. One, let me just pause. Richard, that was awesome. Folks, we've been hosting Stump the Experts for about 8 months now. And Richard, I just want to commend you on your customized demo, the narrative, and the way that you really tackled this opportunity. Props to you, man. That was unbelievable. I'm excited for this recording to go review it again. Very easy to understand, very relatable. So thank you so much for that. To kick off the Q&A, I think the one thing that's most relevant, how does ThinkMax speak to the security and governance around generative AI as we integrate these amazing, powerful capabilities across every piece of that funnel, right? Like it's touching everything. So from a governance and security standpoint, how does ThinkMax speak to that?
The great situation with Copilot is that the data that it's searching is the data that you have access to, and it's your data. So there's a lot of large language models, LLMs out there on the internet right now, and a lot of them actually share the data, and socialize the data and learn from that data. The good thing about Microsoft's LLMs or Copilot is the fact that it doesn't share the data out there on the internet. It keeps it within your organization, and it's not learning from you. It's your data that you're using and you're leveraging. So Microsoft is not looking and trawling through all of your questions to make the system better. If you want to make the system better, then when you're using the Copilots, use the little up or down thumbs, right? You see here on the screen. That's the only really way Microsoft's going to see if you're the experience that you're having with it, right? So the fact that Microsoft isn't trawling, it's not selling the data, it's not trawling through the data, and it's not learning from the data. It's your data in your repository, is key, and that's the great thing that makes a lot of difference for a lot of our customers. Especially, like I mentioned, we have some financial services customers as well. They're very, very, very concerned moving forward about how AI works out there. Now, rather than using solutions maybe like ChatGPT, which is a great solution, and opening that up within their organization for their teams to use, they're actually leaning into using the Microsoft Copilot and the 365 Copilot that's coming down the line soon, because that keeps your data within your organization. It lets your teams benefit from AI, from large language models, but it keeps and controls all of that data. And you can also do some flavoring of the responses as well. So as a little example there, using the Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is the broader Copilot that accesses Graph, which is your Teams, your Outlook information, Word, Excel, all of the PowerPoint, all of those data sets. You can actually do certain theming, and there's an organization in the US that was very concerned. They're a very religious orientated organization, very concerned about religious connotations that was going to be responding to Copilot. Now, when they were using third-party tools like ChatGPT, some of the responses they were getting for some of their marketing campaigns was create heavenly products. Well, because they had religious connotations, with the Microsoft Office 365 Copilot, they were actually able to say, look, don't use any religious connotations in any of the chat prompts or any of the chat responses. When you're creating any content, be wary of those aspects. And they were able to govern and control that a little bit more for their internal teams, just to make sure they're not providing the right messaging, the incorrect messaging within their emails or their promotions to their customers.
Great. What I heard as a recap is, one, when you use Copilot, you have a proprietary, safe, and secure instance that no other language model is being trained on, number one. Number two, right, as easy as it is to leverage ChatGPT, it's not as safe and secure. You don't know what responses you're going to get because it's leveraging everything out there in the ethos. So being able to have your own instance and train, it goes back to, I think one of the great things you highlighted, Richard, was the ramp time for new reps and the ability for managers to train. Just by those simple thumbs up and thumbs down things that you pointed to, every interaction is validated, plus or minus. That just sharpens the pen for every draft that gets us 80% of the way there. I love that. Thank you so much. So question from Ian. Ian, you're up, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I was looking through some of the documentation real quick, and there was kind of a Q&A, frequently asked questions section. And it confirmed, like you said, it is replacing Viva Sales. And it looks like it's included in our licensing if we already have Viva sales. Is that correct? Or then I was also seeing like a price breakdown for subscription-based fees.
So this is just a rebrand. Well, it's a product, but Viva Sales will eventually go away and
Okay.
is deprecated by this. So this should be the same licensing as Viva Sales.
Okay, awesome.
And I believe Microsoft is going to be over the next few days releasing some new pricing lists out there, making it even more competitive and compelling for Dynamics-based customers. So stay in tune for that.
Okay. And I didn't see, I'm still trying to find the like the roadmap and future updates and stuff, and I haven't found it yet in the Learn article.
Oh, may not be in the Learn article. I would say, Perchi, do you happen to have the link of the feature releases for Dynamics? Because you can actually go in, you can create a profile and you can say, these are the products that I want to follow and that I'm very passionate about. And then you'll be able to see the specific releases and specific updates regards to those products. And it creates like a little dashboard for you. I'll have to dig that link out if we don't have it today.
I think you just found it. I just saw it. Thank you so much for that. That's perfect. That's what I was looking for. I have to train our sales team, so I need to know when we're ready to go with lead creation stuff. Very exciting. Thank you.
So here we go. This is called the Microsoft Sales Copilot Release Planner. Releaseplans.microsoft.com. So this is exactly what I mentioned. So you can actually I believe you can create a profile here, but you can actually say that what products you're interested in, right? And then what updates are coming down the line and what features are coming. And you can dive into these details in more, for more clarity.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Ian, let me ask you real quick. You said you're responsible for training your folks. Can you share with us a little bit of the use case and what your organization is excited to empower?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of our team, we're both in F&O and CE. And so, some of we'll have our customer engagement team, like customer service, potentially creating leads. And those are going into our CE environment for our sales team to pick up on as they, field. So they're more like an inside sales team as they're fielding questions and so on and so forth. And our sales team, just like you were demonstrating, is keeping up on emails and integrating them into opportunities right now with Viva Sales. So that's a huge part of their communication flow for our supply chain. And it's as I viewed this and explored it, it looks like a faster, more intuitive way to get them to where they need to be, and it's really exciting. The whole premise of our training and the way that we operate with our CRM and our sales app is we really try to ensure that it's helping them through their day and it's not just an annoying nuisance for them. So anything we can do to take 1 more, 3 more clicks out of their way and empower them to get in and out of the app as quickly as possible, while it being beneficial to them is very exciting and helpful to us and that team. So
Ian, thanks for sharing that. What I heard is you're just trying to help these folks navigate the information with less clicks and just more intuition versus poking around. And I think something you said that's resonating with a lot of folks that we're talking to is like, yes, this is a really fun, shiny toy, and it's really easy to get distracted, but it's cool that you are ahead of it and have some governance ideas and whatnot to be like, look, here's the productivity gains, right? Like focus on those capabilities. That's something that we're hearing as well across the board. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Of course. What other questions? We haven't stumped him yet. We've simple articles. Come on, guys. Like, put them in check. Like, he put up that image. He's half cyborg. You saw it. Like, let's hit it. You're really good with the designer stuff, by the way. Sorry, I'm just talking smack. Go ahead, John.
It's all AI.
No, go ahead, Richard.
No, I was going to say it's all AI. All the designer stuff is artificial intelligence. It's great.
It's awesome. Looks great. Go ahead, John.
So, in terms of a lot of the AI that's going on out there, I mean, I got 2-part question. Number one, why is there a difference between like if I'm a salesperson and I did want to get find out order information, status information. Someone's just calling me saying, hey, what's the status of my order? Why wouldn't Copilot be the best place to do that? Versus going through a chat GTP or not chat GTP or the Copilot Studio chatbot. Why not just ask that to Copilot?
So you could do either or, but the fact is, the sales Copilot is right there embedded within Outlook. Right now, it may not necessarily have access to all of that information today. It depends on what queries you're giving it. So it's specifically designed at this stage to do key sales activities. When you think about orders, and maybe even orders that are coming from custom tables, like from your ERP system, right? We can either create custom Copilots for that, or in the next few months, there is going to be extensibility within Copilot Sales to have APIs to connect to third-party systems, or even to connect to custom tables, etc. So the extensibility, what we're seeing today, and don't forget, Copilot's only been out for a handful of months.
Oh my gosh, right?
Right. And look how much we're talking about it. So the baseline of the capabilities are there, and people are really getting value out of it. The ability to extend it and customize it and configure it is coming down the line. Right, so customize it to custom tables, connecting it to third-party systems, using API connectors, using connect with Power Automate. Going to a lot of times we're actually getting questions from customers saying, can we connect it to our ERP system, right, to get information so the salesperson can get ERP-related order information as well. All of that is definitely coming down the line.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and I think you just already asked my second part with the APIs, and then we're gonna be able to connect that. Okay. No, that's awesome. Fantastic.
Now, the key thing, with any new product, we have to make sure that we gradually, build it up. We don't want to go too crazy with it. We don't want to overload it. We don't want to point it to many different sources or have too many challenges with it. So, Microsoft's being very careful to release the product, make sure they control the capabilities of it, make sure it's sustainable, and make sure it's going to be, adding value. The last thing we'd want is to deploy a new product to a customer and it to start, having issues. So it's very well vetted and tested to make sure it's performing for everyone. And really at the end of the day, the Copilot, the only challenges we're really finding with Copilot right now, and let's talk about that for a couple of minutes. The key challenges we have with Copilot right now is the data. Right? The underlying data that Copilot has access to, that's where you're starting to get your mismatch of responses. So, one of the key things I get asked from a lot of customers, well, what do we need to do before we start using, AI, large language models, Azure AI capabilities, etc. One of the key things you need to do there is, make sure your data is clean, right? And cleanse your data as much as possible. There's various different solutions out there. Think about Microsoft Purview, etc. We have a couple of solutions that we embed within the product for our CE customers that help do data cleansing and data governance activities to help our customers succeed there. So once again, AI is great, but it's a large language model that's learning, and it's only going to be able to learn against the data that you've got. And if the data you've got is good quality, it's going to be good. If the data you've got isn't great quality, then it's going to learn some bad habits along the way.
Thanks for that. I think Leonard had a question. Leonard, are you still here?
Yes, I was going to ask, I know there's separate licenses a person can buy for Copilot. So like we're using CE, so most people have got sales and enterprise licenses. But if someone had a Copilot license, what data would they be entitled to?
So it regardless of, I'm going to phrase that question in a slightly different way. So just because you have access to Copilot, it doesn't mean you have access to all the data in your organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your Copilot is tagged into Dataverse, you only have access to the data you can see in Dataverse, right? If you have, if your Copilot has access to SharePoint, right, your security restrictions will be what you can see.
Okay.
So it's not going to be a free for all of just because you have access to data of Copilot, you can now see every single piece of data in your organization, right? It's not a backdoor. Security is still security modeling is still a key consideration there.
Yeah.
Prachi, Edma, please elaborate there if I may have said anything.
That's a Prachi follow-up, not me.
Okay.
I think you covered most of it, and Sales Copilot is very versatile, so it also works with another CRM. So there is documentation on that as well, but essentially Copilot is very strict in what it allows you to access. So in CRM, whatever you're seeing in Copilot is only what you have as a security role in Dynamics. So everything you're seeing is only what you're credentialed to view. So just a really great point is Sales Copilot is always making sure on trust, doesn't use customer data to train the models, and you can only view what you're able to actually view with your credentials.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good question, though. Good question.
Great question. There was a follow-up question, I think, from Ian. Can you tell us about how this may work in conjunction with Power PVA, external chatbots, and connecting those external chats to proper internal teams? Ian, do you want to expound on that real quick before we let them chime in?
I mean, I can. I'll weigh in, but Ian, please,
Sure. Sure. We're in the process of developing a PVA chatbot as an external place on our site, and as I'm looking at this tool, I'm like, okay, it's something that's going to persist in any of the environments our reps would be in, and I don't know if it's something that could handle handing off some of those things, or if it's still better to integrate that handoff to teams.
So I'd say to start off with, PVA is no longer PVA. So surprise.
Perfect.
Right. Right. How Virtual Agents is now Copilot Studio.
Okay.
So when you go into Copilot Studio, you can still do the same capabilities, though, right? You can basically go forth and create a new Copilot. You can obviously give it a name, right? And then you can actually have conversational intelligence as part of that, right? So the new AI capabilities, right? So you can literally, with a click of a couple of buttons, create a new PVA or Copilot.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's created, then you can go through and create the same, topics, the same, the same scripts and narratives as it goes through that to various different data sites, right, or document repositories. Now you can actually add Word documents, so you can go into the generative AI area. You can add certain links, right, to different websites. So,
Mm-hmm.
a link to maybe your FAQs that you have in your organization, a link, you can upload documents, right, for intelligent authoring, and it will go into those, those documents and search things, right? And then you can obviously publish it in via various different websites. So you can publish it on a website, you can publish it in Teams, or you can embed it, like I mentioned, with some custom development work into Dynamics CE. And then obviously there's plugins as well. So you can actually use the plugins with the Power plugins to actually get to external sources and onboard that. So imagine, you're an organization selling, I don't know, it's coming up to Christmas, so Christmas decorations for your tree, right? You can actually therefore tag your Copilot directly into your website and look at all of the products on your website, and then embed it into Teams or your sales portal. And then when people are accessing it, it actually goes and gets all the data in one place. So in other words, really, if you have one data repository with all of the key information your teams need, well, you can connect your Copilot to that as well, and then surface that for your customer base. But
and this is the idea was to have something for external users that are hitting our website to be able to reach the proper team or group, and I think that's what you were alluding to, and it sounds like that's already connected. It makes our job and setup actually easier than it would have been under PVA.
So you've got your you've got it, and then you've created your Copilot. You've put your data sources in there, and then obviously now, like I mentioned, you can just put it in your website, right? So you can just copy the URL here, and then go to your website. Sorry, live demos may not necessarily be as awesome as possible, but look, here's the Copilot. You can embed it on your website with HTML.
Yep.
Then it has access to that data repository. So this is my sales policy. So can I expand gift cards? And then now your customers can see the same data. But obviously, do you want your customers seeing the same data is probably the biggest question. Right?
Yes, absolutely. We need to do something with single sign-on so that there's proper authentication.
So You can attach this to a website or various different data sources that you want. Now, if you're thinking about knowledge-based articles, don't forget in CE, from a customer service perspective, you have knowledge-based articles that are published, that are approved for external access and internal access as well. So there's those considerations as well. But then you've got Power Pages that has all of those capabilities as well. So look within the Power Pages product suite to look from a knowledge-based article side of things.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. What else, folks? What other questions do you have? What are some other use cases you guys are exploring?